our favorite mythological romance story is coming to an end this May. So today we're gonna go through all of Lore Olympus. Not just everything important in seasons 1, 2, and 3, but we'll even dive into the world before the series even starts. There's a lot to go through, so what better place to start than the beginning? Not of Lore Olympus, but of the world. Before season 1, the gods created the world, but the god of the sky, Uranus, wanted to be the king, but he couldn't do it alone. He needed Gaia because she was a fertility goddess. Put simply, fertility goddesses are wellsprings of power, but they can't easily use it on their own. When another god creates a union of love with a fertility goddess, they can take and use that power. Uranus, using Gaia's power, became king of the gods. However, that didn't last, as his son Kronos, Titan of Time, had the same plan, using Rhea to overthrow Uranus. Now, Kronos never actually wanted kids, but Rhea did, and while they did have some, Kronos decided to eat his kids to make sure they didn't overthrow him. First, his oldest, Adonis, or Hades, then the middle child, Poseidon, but the youngest, Zeus, Rhea gave to some nymphs to be raised, but when she passed, came to him and told him the truth. Meanwhile, the goddess Metis created 3 daughters with the purpose of destroying Kronos: Hestia, Demeter, and Hera. Zeus, using a poisonous plant, was able to get his brothers out, creating the 6th traitor dynasty. While Kronos was losing his mind, he was still in control of time itself, so Hera and Zeus came up with a plan. Hera would earn his trust, and over time slowly poison him to make him weak enough to finish off. And it worked a little too well, as it was more than just flirting and compliments. But because of it, and Zeus consuming Metis to gain the powers of the fertility goddess, was able to take Kronos down, but at the cost of Hera being torn in 2 pieces and gaining her the nickname the Golden Traitor. All of them were scarred, physically but also mentally, as Hades gained some intense trauma from the war. Zeus declares himself king of, like everyone, giving Poseidon the sea and Hades the underworld. And while Hades and Hera do have a bond, it's not enough to ditch being the queen of everyone. The underworld has its own rules. It wasn't gonna listen to Hades because Zeus said so, at least not without a trade, through a pomegranate. What he lost is not exactly clear, but what he gained is control over the domain. Over the years, Olympus, the mortal realm, and the underworld progress. Zeus sleeps around, but Demeter and Hades are hard at work. Demeter and Hades have a strenuous relationship at best, Hades being the reason she's not queen of the mortal realm. Over the years, Demeter realizes something's missing from her life. All the other goddesses have something, an organization, a family, something, but Demeter had nothing. So using 1 million perfect roses is able to create Persephone. After she's born, a bunch of goddesses bless her, mostly with generic stuff, but Eris, the god of discord, secretly blesses her with wrath, giving her a feeling, endless ambition. Combined with Persephone being this generation's fertility goddess, puts her in a lot of trouble, especially with her mom. You see, Demeter was born into and for a war. She had a world of expectations placed on her, but she loved her mom and thought it was for the best that she would do the same thing to her daughter. She thought it would toughen her up and make her a hard worker, but it really just put more and more pressure on Persephone, and that pressure blew up. During a fight between Persephone and Demeter, some mortals dig up flowers, killing certain flower nymphs, Persephone's friends, and after being disrespected, wrath took her over, killing a mortal, and her powers caused her to grow giant size, unable to stop the damage and death she was causing, killing a bunch of mortals on accidents. This was her act of wrath. Now the laws of Olympus are confusing. Killing mortals without the right permits, not even a joke by the way, will cause some serious problems with Zeus. So to cover it up, Demeter pays off Hermes, who's a part-time underworld helper, to hide souls and slowly deliver them into the underworld. She even tries to pay off the sun titan Helios, but is ineffective. After this, Demeter knew that she couldn't keep Persephone tucked away, and after a quick encounter with Hades, one that he doesn't remember because Demeter got him blackout drunk so he forgot her daughter, Demeter let Persephone stay and study in Olympus with fellow goddess of the eternal maidenhood member, Artemis. Which is when the series actually starts at season 1. We start at Zeus's birthday party, where Hades, now sober, falls instantly for Persephone. But Eros, doing a favor for his mom Aphrodite, gets Persephone drunk and locks her in Hades' car to make her look bad because Hades decided to compare the goddess of beauty with someone he's in love with. After a night in the underworld, Hades drops her off at her place where we soon meet Apollo, who is unfortunately important to the story. After an entire day of hanging out, Apollo enters Persephone's room late at night and forces himself onto her. His moment shapes Persephone for the rest of the series, a weight that she constantly carries around. Now she feels like a piece of her life is a lie. She's broken after this and doesn't want anyone to know. After a late night phone call with Hades, Hera notices Hades' infatuation, giving them a test, assigning Persephone to work in the underworld with Hades. Persephone gets trapped in Tower 4 because of Hades' on-again, off-again toxic girlfriend Minthi, and after a chess match, Persephone gets the job. Hades and Minthi also officially get together, but it doesn't last long, since Minthi gets blackout drunk and stands up Hades, causing their relationship to go downhill. Their relationship was never a good one. It was founded on, we're both broken, let's be broken together. But after spending truly a little time with Persephone, Hades realized that he just wants to be loved, something he wasn't getting with Minthi. And we see this on full display the day after, as standing him up, not responding for a full day, and everything just being her fault doesn't stop her from shifting the blame onto Hades. Randomly, Hera appears and tests Hades, if you know what I mean. Luckily, he passes and now has Hera's secret blessing. She doesn't tell him that he has her blessing. missing. Apollo randomly appears, as he does, and while Hades distracts him, Persephone steals his lyre, his harp thing, and cuts one of his strings, leading to a big confrontation between the two. Apollo delusionally demands that she be his, also just threatens her. Speaking of toxic relationships, Hades and Minty break up officially, and finally, happy birthday, Persephone! Woo! She sneaks into the underworld beaches to pay off some soul's fees to ride into the afterlife because she still feels bad about her previous act of wrath. It doesn't work out and Hades has to save her, and they kiss! It's about time! Unfortunately, Persephone, equally as excited about the kiss, accidentally turns into a bunch of butterflies and materializes at her house. Hades gets a memory of when they actually first met from the Fates, but when he tries to reach Persephone, she's gone missing and is on the run. Hades toxic eggs Minty alongside god of death Thanatos and Thetis go tell Zeus that Persephone did a bad thing, that Mother Dearest covered it up, causing him to investigate this secret act of wrath. Season 2! Artemis, Eros, and Hades go look for Persephone, while Hera disguises herself as Persephone. After a chat with Helios, Zeus puts out an arrest warrant for Persephone and Demeter. Hades finds Persephone hiding in a dump and gets her side of the story, hearing about the voice that pushed her over the edge, and the death she caused and the guilt she feels over it. Meanwhile, Hades opens up about his trauma. After a video call, Hera comes in clutch, opposing Zeus's judgment and is able to connect with Persephone. Hera often acts more like a mom to Persephone than Demeter does, being a loving and protective presence in difficult times. She was one of the few gods to actually have a suspicion against Apollo, and uses some of her connections to get rid of a photo Apollo took. But uh-oh, Kronos, that titan of time, is regaining some of the strength because of the tree that Persephone grew. Minty, in a strange attempt to win Hades over, lets it slip that she's the reason why Persephone and Demeter are currently wanted, and is cursed by Persephone to be a potted plant. Persephone learns that Hades and Hera used to hook up and goes to therapy. What a win. Anyways, trial time, baby! We get some great courtroom drama. Hades learns what Apollo did and gets titan-sized. Trial time part 2. Not much law actually happens. Instead, Eris makes an appearance, drops the secret blessing of Wrath bomb on Demeter, and then she gets stabbed by Apollo, who declares himself Zeus's son, which is true. Zeus, in an attempt to wrap things up quickly, strips Demeter of her status, banishes Persephone to the mortal realm, separates the two until he says it's okay. Anyways, 10 years later, the mortal realm is still separated, and Hades has separated the underworld from Olympus. Most of the six-traded dynasty has fallen into comas except for Zeus. Persephone then sneaks into the underworld to make sure everything is fine. Shocker, it isn't, as Kronos has taken control of the entire underworld using Hypno, the god of sleep. Then Persephone, Zeus, and Morpheus, the goddess of dreams or sleep or something, team up together to take down Kronos. Persephone makes the same deal Hades did to gain control of the underworld, and with the help of Cerberus, the god of darkness or something, grows giant and becomes the queen of the underworld and traps Kronos back in Tartarus. Season 3, baby! The king and queen of the underworld start dating and repairing the entire city. But uh-oh, Demeter is against it. And uh-oh, even bigger, Kronos has taken control of Tartarus and isn't letting anyone in or out, and has a young god captured there with him, demanding to see Hera, you know, the goddess that basically flirted with him to poison and overthrow him. Unluckily for Hera, Kronos just starts appearing randomly around her. Persephone goes on a date with Ares for reasons, where we learn more about the fertility goddesses, and there's one before Persephone. Ooh. But more importantly, Demeter holds an intervention. For who? Why Persephone, of course, as she's clearly throwing away all the opportunities given to her for some hot dude with money, right? Demeter's blatant attempts to publicly shame her daughter backfires as Hades just straight proposes and Persephone says yes. Demeter tries to block this with a wedding embargo, but that doesn't actually start until the next day, so cut to their wedding truly a few hours later. Now, as a married power couple, the two get to work. Persephone starts to dream die with Morpheus, going into her dreams to get information and hopefully slip into Kronos' dreams. It does not work. Anyways, Zeus goes into labor, and Persephone delivers and adopts the child, Dionysus. Hades goes to the mortal realm to free Thanatos, who's been stuck in a pot. It's not relevant, it's just funny. Where Demeter tells Hades that she misses her daughter and wants to make amends. So they go to therapy together, where we learn how much Demeter modeled her parenting style after someone who was actively at war's parenting style. Meanwhile, Apollo teams up with Uranus, the, god of sky, to get the throne. Hades tries the sleep diving thing, but that backfires as Kronos takes control of his sleeping body, and we get a very beautiful heart-to-heart with Persephone and Hera. But this time, Persephone's the one comforting Hera. It's a very sweet and genuine moment of vulnerability and care between the two. Anyways, Apollo poisons Zeus and blames Zeus's daughter to take control of Olympus. Meanwhile, it's Persephone's birthday again. Yay! Unfortunately, due to the deal she made, her powers, instead of growing life, just cause things to die, causing a terrible winter. Hera has a vision where she dies, and Persephone grows big to defeat Kronos. Meanwhile, Kronos takes control of Morpheus and then kidnaps Hades, and in a foolish attempt to win Persephone over, Apollo gains a way to use her powers to heal, but Hera saves the day, as she has access to Tartarus since Kronos is in love with her. But only she and Persephone are able to sneak in, as well as Dionysus later. While distracting Kronos, Hera gets crunched and is dying when Dionysus shows Persephone a branch of a vine she thought she killed. But now it's starting to grow. Persephone realizes that her powers aren't as simple as growth, but of rebirth, growing things from death. Realizing this, she's able to heal Hera, who turns out was actually the missing fertility goddess, and because of that is able to grow Titan size to challenge Kronos. And now, you are caught up with Lore Olympus. But there's still a lot to see before its end. The final battle with Kronos, Apollo's dirty deal with Uranus, and that strange young deity we keep seeing from time to time. So make sure you're caught up with Lore Olympus before its epic conclusion over on Webtoon today.